So, in my own reflection, I thought about what I did this morning. In fact, right before I left, the last thing I did as I was about to head out the door was I gave our cat her insulin. So, most of you probably don't know, but my family has 2 dogs and 2 cats. So, my family went out of town this weekend to Nashville to go see a concert. And so, you know what that means? That means I had to give Molly her insulin. So, we have 2 cats, like I said. We have Chance and we have Molly. Chance is mostly an outside cat, but he comes inside and sleeps inside and comes inside to eat and drink. Molly is our inside cat. And I love Molly. She's my favorite cat. She's wonderful. She's so sweet. She's so loving. And, well, she's diabetic, obviously. We have to give her insulin, as I said. And we did not know she was diabetic up until about a month ago. And I'll say that again. We did not know she was diabetic. And so, as many of you can remember, I came and gave this lesson right after my birthday, now, a couple weeks ago. Well, it was right about that time that we found out that Molly was diabetic. So she went into diabetic ketoacidosis, which DKA for short. If you're diabetic, you might understand and know what that is, but if you're not, I'll give you like a really quick breakdown. It's very bad. It's so bad, especially if you're an animal, because the animal can't tell you that it feels so bad. So DKA happens when your body is so desperate for sugar that it can process, because it can't process the sugar in the food. And so the animal's blood sugar is sky high, but it can't process any of the sugar. So the animal does, and the body does anything it can to get sugar. So that means it starts to break down all of the fat in the body that it can to process for sugar that it can use. It starts to break down like cells. It's just terrible. A lot of animals die from it, actually, because, like I said, we didn't know she was diabetic. And so it was probably October 18th or 17th that my mom took Molly to the vet, and we find out she's in DKA. She was in terrible shape. So really what that meant was she was very close to dying. The odds of her living through the night, even just into my birthday, was pretty low. We didn't get a number from the vet because they're not going to do that. But my mom, in her, admittedly non-veterinarian expertise, said she thought maybe 50-50. But thankfully, as you can tell from how I started this story, Molly did make it through the night. So I remember, similar to this, story, how he talks about driving to the nursing home, to go be with his mother in her last moments. I remember I spent my birthday with my girlfriend's family. Spencer, my twin brother, was not in town, so my family didn't do anything that day. So I was with Abby's family, and I was driving home, and I knew Molly wouldn't be there, and I knew what had happened, and I knew all about it. And, your birthday is supposed to be one of those moments that is, especially when you're young, it's one of those, best days of the year. It's all about you. People come to celebrate you. People come to talk to you. People text you and message you on Facebook and post on your timeline, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday. And I remember, at the end of the day, it doesn't feel like anything special anymore to me. It feels like a normal day. And I went home and I cried because I was like, God, why would this happen? And I knew she would make it, but I guess I just hadn't truly felt my way through that. I hadn't processed it. And I just felt terrible because she was so sick and we could tell, and yet we still waited a couple days because we thought she'd get better, and she didn't. And I'm very thankful, and I praise God for that. I praise God that she made it. She's a cat. I understand all of this. But she still means a lot to me and to my family. And as I'm giving her insulin this morning and last night, and yesterday morning, when your cat becomes diabetic, that means you have to change how you feed your cat, and that is not very fun. So now we have to feed our cat in the morning and at night, whereas we used to just free feed them, meaning you put the food out and they eat when they're hungry. Well, we can't do that anymore because when Molly eats, she has to get some insulin. And so what that means is, like I said, I have to give her insulin. So every morning and every evening, whoever gets her insulin has to get a needle. And we have a little box of sterile needles, and you take off the plastic, and you put it into the tiny little insulin bottle, and you extract 0.2 of a milliliter, very tiny amount. And this needle's tiny, tiny, tiny. And you go in to the bathroom where she normally is, because that's where we feed her, and I lift up the scruff of her neck. I try to just do like that, and then you just put the needle in, and you push it in, and you take it out super fast, because she doesn't like it. My dad told me, she'll talk you out of it if you let her. So I do it really quickly, and she, doesn't like it. She'll kind of meow at me, pitifully. And if you do too much, if you take too long, as I did yesterday night, she starts to kind of growl at you a little bit, which is weird because she is, like I said, she's super, super, super sweet. She has never hissed at me or anything like that. We've had her for years and years. As far as I know, she's only ever hissed at Abby, which I don't know why she did that one time. But she is not an aggressive cat. She's never scratched me. She's never bit me. But she kind of will growl a little bit, and her tail kind of flicker back and forth. So you do it fast, and it's better. So I gave it to her this morning, but last night, as I'm taking too long, I'm trying to hurry, trying to get it over with, but she keeps moving too much, and I don't like to hold her down. That feels mean. I tell her, I love you too much to not do this. Because if she doesn't get her insulin, then her body risks going back into DKA. And obviously she can die. And if you don't give her insulin, it's very bad for her. This is what's good for her. As far as we know, there is no other way to give her insulin normally. So I tell her, I love you too much to not do this. And she doesn't understand what insulin is. She doesn't understand why she has to get a shot every time she eats. But I do. And I know what's good for her. And I know what's best for her. She knows when to eat. She knows when to drink. But she can't administer herself insulin. And so I tell her, I love you